it's kind of a mind for a lot of us.
We're just dropping F-bombs now.
We can't. I mean, I can bleep it.
Oh,
but
go
it's
ahead. Let it go.
fuck everything. No, but if someone is canceled, how do you feel about taking their music off the air?
I think back and I'm like, man, was I complicit?
Why do you think some talents succeed and some do not?
And then there are people that, quite honestly, I think they're better served outside of a corporate environment.
AI being used as radio DJs, Spotify is already doing this. Is it true that there will be less jobs available in radio? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Fandom Culture. This is a place for fans of fans, and everybody in between. You know, if you have listened to any of the other episodes, we love talking about music, the industry, and fandoms here. And I have somebody here who is a guest that I've been wanting to have on for a very long time. He kept saying no, kept rescheduling, but somebody in my mind who is very, very high up there when it comes to personal opinions and then also within the radio industry. And we've talked about radio a lot on this podcast. I've brought on former personalities and current personalities. This guy, though, is Doc Wynter, and he is the highest up you can go when it comes to hip hop at a very large company, which we don't have to talk about specifics if you don't want to. I mean, we're literally in the studio right now, but it's like
we're in our studio. So let's see if there's
I mean, you introduce yourself though as you would want to be introduced.
Doc Wynter,
Title
president of Hip Hop and R&B programming strategy for iHeart and the program director of Real 92.3 in LA.
Yeah, and that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
Because you hired me
Yep.
after John Ivy hired me at Kiss FM. So I was working in this building and had many nights and day in this exact studio, which is blowing my mind right now, honestly. But you were somebody who kind of like framed my opinion of a lot of things in radio, but honestly, in a very positive way. I think I was like, because you were such a great boss to me,
thank you.
I went elsewhere and kind of experienced some other things that I wasn't prepared for. I think I was like, I might have been a little naive about, especially moving to different cities and everything. But you're somebody who has meant a lot to me in my career as
Thank
like
you.
a mentor,
Thank you.
a boss, a friend in general. You've done a lot of stuff. So, I mean, hello, welcome to Fandom Culture.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you've had some, not so great experiences.
I think everybody has. I don't think I don't think it's any different for me than it has been for anybody else, especially just working in media. Media is hard. I think a lot of people don't really register that when they get into it just because it's like, oh, fun stuff. And we're all going to like be successful and be great. And then there are like real life situations you have to be a part of. And then on top of that, everybody has egos and everybody has, their own journeys and whatever they're going through. And me now at my age, I know that, but as, 25, 26-year-old, you're just kind of like, oh my God,
at my age, I know it too.
Yeah.
It can be a lot at times.
You want to tell everybody how old you are?
No, I do not.
Okay.
But it's a lot. I always looked at radio as like the third rung of entertainment back in the day, but I was always taken aback by how egos can be pretty immense. And not that you don't deserve to have an ego or you can't use your ego in a positive way in order to have the confidence to do what you do on radio. But in terms of alienating people or making people feel less of themselves, like I'm not for that.
So craziest release moment that you've experienced in radio?
It's kind of hard. I mean, I've had some great experiences for the most part. I've had a couple of not so great experiences. I think the one that comes to mind, we started doing world premieres a number of years ago. And when we would do them, typically, I was on the East Coast at the time, we would get the record around midnight. We'd pre-promote that we're going to play this record all day. And this particular artist is very, 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 very finicky about the sound, the sonic presentation of their music. And so it came time for the song to premiere at 6 a.m. in the morning, and we didn't have the record.
Right.
And then 10 a.m. we didn't have the record. Then 1 p.m. we didn't have the record. And it was the craziest thing ever. Yeah. And I think we finally got the record that evening, after promising to play it all day. like 6, 7 o'clock at night. It was a great record, still is to this day, but it was just like, that was a lot,
Yeah.
and, you have those sometimes. Then you have
You do.
sometimes you have people who just make it so much easier for you, regardless of how big they are. They just come to the table. And I guess I'm gonna say who it is because I really
Yeah, I was-
like him. I really like this person a lot. And
Okay.
I'm talking about the people. I'm not talking about the person that made life difficult for us that day. I'm talking about people who, despite how huge they are, they always seem to rise to the occasion.
Right.
And that's J. Cole.
Okay.
Dude
Yes.
is just such a good dude.
Yeah.
And
Was this around like 2014 Forest Hills Drive moments, or?
it's been the entire time that we've known each other. It's
Yeah,
just
okay.
always been like, like sometimes you have to go through these ropes to like, hey man, I want to send an artist to your festival to come meet you. And it's like, oh my God, you got to write a letter. You got to give a pint of blood. And with him, it's just like, of course.
Yeah.
No problem. And
that's awesome.
I just love that about him. He's not changed. And you have a great relationship. And I enjoy the aspect of hip hop that he represents.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I'm gonna like bring it to K-pop for literally a hot second.
Okay.
J. Cole's the only like rapper, well, probably not the only, but the most like forward when he did a collaboration with J-Hope from BTS.
Okay.
And he recently, over the past like 6 months, actually made that fandom incredibly happy just because he was so nice to him. And they did a video together and there's like some behind the scenes footage. And he's just such a welcoming, positive guy. And I think a lot of people look at K-pop a certain kind of way. And he didn't let any of that, get in the way of an opportunity.
I could talk about him for days. Like I've actually observed him. Like I had gone backstage to see him. And, as he's walking towards me, he's got to stop to talk to different people.
Yeah.
And the respect he gives those people, he's talking to them. He's in the moment, eye contact. I'm like, man, like I'm just so impressed with him.
Yeah.
To the point I named my son after him. That's how much impressed I was.
Did you really?
Yeah, my son Cole is named after J. Cole.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did I never put that together? I was going to say Jermaine.
I don't really talk about it, but he just embodied someone that I was so proud of. Someone that's about hip hop.
Yeah.
Magna cum laude from St. John's.
Right.
Carries himself so well.
Yep.
Is about the culture, about the music, and is just a good human being.
We're going to do quick ones. Nicest celebrity you've ever met. Is it J. Cole?
Nicest celebrity I've ever met.
Yeah.
It's hard, man, because I have really good relationships with.
I know.
Like Usher is my guy.
Okay.
Miguel is the homie.
Right.
Keith Sweat and I have been friends for years.
Okay. Yeah, you got a lot of the old school guys too.
Obviously, J. Cole, Johnny Gill, Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
And Swiss are really, and I'm not just name dropping. I'm talking about what like I feel like are actually good relationships. And I know I'll forget somebody, and they'll be like, "Yo, really? I'm not."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Yeah.
Just genuinely good relationships with good people that obviously began because of what it is I do for a living.
Right.
But I think genuinely became, real friendships.
Yeah. I remember one time you picked up the phone randomly and it was Tank. And I was like sitting in your office and I was like, what?
Yo, I'm glad you said that because that's the homie too.
Yeah.
Tank and Jay Valentine. I think Tank is so talented.
Yeah.
He's so funny. Like I've been at a party one time where it was like one of these parties where you come with your spouse and you're playing like games.
Right.
And
old people
he
stuff.
just got he just got behind the piano and he was so entertaining for like 90 minutes. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's nice. So wait, can you drop who's the meanest celebrity you've ever met before you move on to serious stuff?
I'd rather not.
That's fine. I knew you weren't going to answer. So why do you think
pictures in here, but I'd rather not answer. Got it. Boom.
I was gonna say you can't see it. No one can see it.
Good. No, good. I'm glad they can.
So I can see. I know now. Okay. So radio.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think some talents succeed and some do not?
They have a gift. Timing. The gift. Patience. Able to control their egos and I was actually talking about this with my wife, Sabea, earlier today. I forgot. She told me a story where somebody, I think it was an announcer on ESPN said something crazy,
Hmm.
kind of like the Don Lemon thing,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of his show he just said something like so crazy,
Yeah.
and he's probably gonna lose his job,
Right, right, right.
and you're just like, man,
No.
like just for one laugh, and when you consider your entire body of work,
Yeah.
you had to say something so demeaning just to
Right.
try to get a laugh for 20 seconds, and now it cost you your job.
Ego.
Um, and I've seen it happen so many times. And many times it's not been somebody that I've known, and sometimes it's been other. It's just like, dude, just like why did you say that?
Yeah.
Like, what made you think that that was gonna go over well?
I've seen that happen a lot. Less on air and on screen than actually like in person,
Yeah.
which has also blown my mind because
Oh,
those
yeah,
are like
it's
real,
crazy
genuine
too.
conversations
Yeah.
people are having, and you
Mhm.
almost take that more seriously.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The patience part, I think, is really big as well in radio. As we've seen, a lot has happened recently. Things like MTV News has shut down, Paper Magazine has shut down, BuzzFeed News has shut down. So with radio and the future of this and what's happening and media at large, what is radio's place going to continue to be? Because we know what it has been,
Yeah.
but where's it going?
I think it'll continue to be highly dependent upon the talent and that whole companionship thing.
Yeah.
Because sure, I want to turn the radio on and hear a great song,
Yeah.
but if I can hear that great song and then hear Big Boy tell me about what happened at the Laker game yesterday in a way that he only can, or the
Yeah.
way that Charlemagne can, or Envy, or Angela, or Steve Harvey, that's what I'm running to the table for.
Yeah.
And there are instances where a playlist is more appropriate for what it is I want to do.
Right.
And there are instances where a podcast is more appropriate for what it is I'm feeling at the time. But
Right.
I think human companionship is never going to go away.
Mm.
And as long as we continue to find the talent that have the ability to do that in a way that only they can, then I think we'll be fine.
So with my follow-up question,
Mm-hmm.
coming from a former radio personality, with so much syndication
Mm-hmm.
happening and point-to-point tracking,
Yeah.
for those who don't know what that is, point-to-point tracking is you're sitting in one studio in a different city and you're tracking into a system that allows you to be on air in another city at a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And syndication is when you're on at the same time everywhere. But with news, we confirmed or not, AI being used as radio DJs, Spotify is already doing this. Is it true that there will be less jobs available in radio?
I think we're already seeing that. I think the economy is such that we've had to come up with more creative ways to put talent on the radio.
Yeah.
And I think only the strong and the great will survive. I mean, there have been a lot of people that have been on the radio over the years that I've known, like, oh, okay, you're on the radio, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
like those opportunities will be fleeting.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
the best people who are professional enough to get up and come to work every day and handle their business and do their jobs and report to a boss in a manner that's conducive to getting work done. But because not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody
Right,
wants to
right.
get up in the morning and report to a boss. They have other means of getting income these
Yeah.
days. On the internet. I don't.
Yeah,
necessarily-
right.
Yeah,
There's a lot of opportunity on the internet, but I think for radio, somebody who wants that to be their career and like get benefits and a full-time salary,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those opportunities dwindle away.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are actually kind of scared that the companies in general are going to end in the same way that, some of the publications are ending and, hosting jobs are going away as well. Do you see that happening anytime soon?
I don't think so. I mean, there's not a day or a week that goes by that I don't see us activate things here on my station in Los Angeles
Yeah.
in ways that other media just can't.
Yeah.
Because you have people that are credible that are saying, "Hey, come to this event tonight and hang out with me, or come see this artist." I mean, you can read it on your IG feed, but the way that Big or Cruz or AO or Bootleg Kev are they're gonna be like they're gonna create FOMO,
Yeah.
in such a way that, man, I got to go peep this out.
Yeah.
And as long as we continue to grow and find people like that, and I don't even want to say grow, because a lot of times those people are just born.
Yeah. 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 I
Like,
can see that.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I say this all the time, and and I think people think that I say this just because I work with them every day. But like that guy,
Mm-hmm.
big boy,
Mm-hmm.
like there's not too many people as talented as that guy.
Yeah.
Like that guy is talented, man.
Right.
I remember hearing Doug Banks one time on the radio in New York City. I think the morning guy had left, and they were kind of doing an audition thing on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like day 4. It was Thursday, and so there was somebody that came on Monday, somebody came on Tuesday, somebody came on Wednesday. Thursday, that guy cracked the mic, and it was like 5 minutes into it, I was like,
Yeah.
he's the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you just and God rest his soul. He ended up becoming a friend, and he was on a couple of my stations. But the dude was he was the guy. Tom
Yeah.
Joyner, the same way. Big Boy. These guys are so quick witted. People love them.
Mm-hmm.
Their likability, which is something that we
That's
really
rough.
haven't talked about, that I think is so important in this
Right.
business.
Right.
Like likability, the ability to be in a room with different people from different walks of life,
Yeah.
and like 90% of them like walk away like, yo, I mess
Yeah.
with him.
Right.
Can I say I fuck with him? Can I
Yeah.
say
You
that?
could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can definitely say that.
So yeah, I think I answered your question.
You did. I think it's kind of a mind for a lot of us.
We're just dropping F-bombs now.
We can't. I mean, I can bleep it.
Oh,
but
go
it's
ahead. What the let it go.
fuck everything. No, but it's kind of a mind for us right now who have either experienced being in radio and then aren't at the moment,
Yeah.
but still would want to someday,
Yeah.
or people who are trying to get into it now. It feels as if, and you can say yes or no to this, there are no opportunities on the table at the moment.
There are fewer opportunities because of things that are out of our control.
Right.
The economy
Right.
just came out of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many, you got shareholders that you're trying to be
Right.
responsible for. If you've ever invested in a business, like, you want the people that are running your business to be cost conscious and consider, how do I make sure that I get what I've invested back?
Right.
And so you can't ignore those things. I mean, it's business at the end of the day.
Yeah. So is it a matter of just waiting out this moment in time?
I think it's a matter of waiting out this moment. I think it's a matter of being persistent. But I think, to your point, I think there are fewer opportunities. I can't deny it.
Right.
I mean, it's the truth.
I mean, it's definitely something we know.
Yeah.
Like anybody knows. I mean, you can see like there are thousands of journalists in the city of LA just unemployed
Yeah.
at the moment with nowhere else to go. So we're definitely seeing it. The effects of everything that has happened is happening now, and I think going into Q3, Q4 will continue to happen. But I think it's just kind of like a matter of time. But I think it's a little bit longer than I think a lot of us wanted it to be, just with seeing where everything's going. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a very vague question, but where do you see radio going with the announcement of like AI, with fewer opportunities and all of that? Where is it headed?
It's funny because I was on a call earlier. We were brainstorming about some ideas, and I decided to jump on ChatGPT and
I've
ask
used
a
it.
question to get some thought starters, and it didn't really give me anything I wanted to do.
Okay.
And then somebody on the call came up with the idea. It wasn't ChatGPT. It was a human being.
Yeah.
And so when I think about, some of the things that I've come up with in my time, from my love letter segment in St. Louis to 20 joints in a row, or $20,000 to
Right.
10,000 joints in a row, those are things that just came out of my mind,
Right.
or came out of me and Ao's mind, or came out of me and Thea's mind from
Yeah.
the name of this radio station. So, I mean, as long as there's creative, sharp people in the world, I think they're always going to be a part of the equation.
I get that. I understand. I think it's really good talking to someone like you about this stuff, because there's just so much that's going unanswered. And then just so much in the, kind of space of like, woo, we have no idea what's going on. But, I think a lot of people have pivoted out of radio or done whatever and just,
Yeah.
like you said, gone online or like started their own like podcasting company or something. There are other things to do at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just so different from what we were taught that it was going to be, I think. Again, coming from like a former radio personality and somebody who worked for you.
Yeah.
Just crazy how things went from the time that we met in 2015 to a 2023 market and what that looks like.
World changed significantly.
Yeah.
And then there are people that, quite honestly, I think they're better served outside of a corporate environment. It's a different environment. Not everybody can, like, some people struggle just like doing their HR training. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, they're like, I gotta do this. Like, yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta take HR training. You gotta take FCC training. You gotta take EAS training. Like, this is a real company. It's a business. You gotta ask HR before you do things, like, and we come from such this environment, this culture right now is so liberal. That people feel like, nah, just not like, no, you got to do that. And there have to be systems in place to protect you as an employee in the event, you feel slighted or somebody says something that, you don't like. They empower you to say, hey. And then, God forbid if that person is brought to bear, you gotta train that person to stop doing that. I get a lot of questions from people about management because they have managers that deal with them differently. I have a very different management style. I'm really like very laid back, and quite honestly, sometimes it works against me because people look at that as a weakness, and it's not. Because I'm a Jamaican from Brooklyn. Like, I could switch like that if you cross.
I've been on like both sides of that with you, but I feel like anybody that's worked for you has been at some point in time.
Yeah, because I think quite naturally when someone's that casual with you, sometimes you just feel,
you think you're friends.
You can say this, your friends, you say anything, and then you might get into an incident with somebody, and I might have to pull you to the carpet and say, hey, like why'd you do that? And sometimes the answers are like, man, come on. Like, like, no, I'm serious. Like, okay, I got to change my hat, change my face off. But then there are other managers who I've heard, like they can make a person's life a living hell.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I've had conversations with other managers, and I always try to break it down to like, hey man, like we're adults, we probably got kids too, right? Like how would you like if your daughter, your son came home and said that their boss talked to them like that?
Right.
And I think it's worked every single time I've ever said it to somebody. Like,
because it's so simple. No one thinks about it. Because I got everybody, like it going back to the ego thing, everybody's stuck in their own story, stuck in their own life, and how whatever somebody's doing is affecting you personally. And there's so much to take into consideration. And again, somebody like you with the power that you have, I don't want to use quotes, but I'm just saying, like, you are a powerful ass dude in this company and within radio. Because of that, you're somebody who's had to learn, I'm sure, like over the years, how to manage people and how to figure that out in your own way.
And I've made mistakes, and I've hired people that I should have hired. And I've hired people who disappointed me, and I've hired people who have exceeded my expectations. I mean, it's really full circle. At the end of the day, I try to like, can I go to sleep at night feeling like I did the right thing? For this individual, for the radio station. And sometimes it's not easy, man. It's not easy.
No, I recently told somebody this. And again, it's like, I know you're super busy, so we won't go on too much longer, but I recently told somebody that like, I don't know if I could do what you do. And because we were having a conversation about like something that recently happened like within the past year or so and how you handled it. And, I was telling this person how amazing I think it was handled, by you. And how I don't know if I would have been able to take my personal emotions out of however you reacted to be in that space where you could make the best decision for the station, for stations all across the country, and move forward, and that kind of thing, which leads me to my last question. If someone is canceled, how do you feel about taking their music off the air?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a tough question. It's not always an easy decision. I really try often to put the answers, it's about the audience. So it's like, how do you feel? At the same time, you know, I like to be conscious of the fact that, playing a person's song might invoke a very bad experience
Right.
depending on what their relationship is to this person or something similar happening to them. So the honest answer is like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time R. Kelly's situation was brought to our attention.
Yeah. And I was here at the time.
No, this is before. This is
Oh,
before.
way before.
This is
Oh,
like in early 2000 when it
okay. Oh,
first
wow.
surfaced. When it first surfaced,
Long
and
time ago.
yeah, it was pre PPM, so it was like 2 4. I'd have to
Wow.
Google what the exact date was, but I remember our program director in Chicago at the time immediately went on TV and said we were pulling all his records, da 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 da, and I'm like, hold on,
Oh,
like,
wow.
like this man hasn't even been. There's been no trial.
Right, right, right.
Well, I saw the video. It was grainy, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Like, come on, man. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, what are we saying? And I said, well, let's put the song in research because I got to feel like our people, like, if they really feel that bad, they're going to say,
Right.
don't put that song on the radio. And that thing came back like #1 with like one of the highest pop scores I'd ever seen. Pop is a popular score for research.
Yeah.
And I was like, clearly the audience is saying that
Wow.
they want to hear his music. Now, fast forward,
Yeah.
umpteen years later, it's kind of clear that there was some
sign of the times.
Yeah, it was, and so I think back and I'm like, man, was I complicit in continuing this situation?
Yeah.
Because I kind of like said, but at the same time, I thought in my mind, like, we just can't go ahead, just convicting people based on our opinion.
Right.
Let's bring some facts to the table here.
I understand that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think at the time though he was actually given a quote unquote trial to actually see if there was something going on behind the scenes that people didn't know? Was it, like, I'm not aware of like what happened at the time. Maybe people who are listening are, but did he go to court at the time? Like, was it confirmed or denied?
Initially he went to trial and
he did,
and he was found not guilty.
Okay.
And then subsequently, there was the whole case of different women coming forward, and then there's another trial, and he was found guilty. There's another trial, he was found guilty. The crazy thing about it is like he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was one of my closest friends, but we knew each other. I had his number, he had my number, and we sat in the studio listening to music all the time. And he was such a talented man.
Yeah.
Like it's like you didn't want to believe it.
Right.
But then at the same time, as a man with daughters, you're just like, dude, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And let's not give the parents a pass, because like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a dad of 3 kids now and a stepson, nah, it's not happening. Like, hey, my daughter, you're not going to the studio with my daughter by yourself.
Oh yeah.
You're not spending the night at his NA artist's house. Like, no.
No.
And so there's got to be some responsibility there, and I feel bad for any of those parents that had to be subjected to that. But like, come on, man, like, nah.
Yeah. So real quick, piggybacking off of that, Tory Lanez.
Mm-hmm.
Have you stopped playing Tory Lanez music?
Didn't really have a lot of Tory in our inventory here in LA. It's kind of a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have we had a company-wide embargo? No.
Mm-hmm.
But that situation was really, really interesting because people immediately took sides.
Right. That's true.
And I know Megan not as well as I know Tory.
Yeah.
Or Tory, but man, I just try to stay in the middle. I just try to stay out of it because I didn't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I know somebody got shot in the foot.
Right.
But there are a number of people that once the trial was done and some of the evidence was released were like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I was lighting her up, and and so I think it's got to be a lesson that we take from that. Like, let try to stay out of it, stay neutral, and let the law do what it has to do. But it saddens me that a Black woman was subjected to that type of vitriol for what appears to be the wrong reason.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Well, I know you gotta do stuff because you're important and everything. Doc, thank you.
Take a nap right now.
Yeah, Doc wants to take a nap and then finish his lunch that he gets delivered to his house because he's rich and everything.
Be quiet.
But thank you so much. This has been Fandom Culture. If you guys want to find us, it is on Spotify, it is on Acast, and you can find me on YouTube at Brooke Morrison because we do post videos of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.
Deuces.
Bye.
Peace.